Welcome everyone to the first episode of Voiced Thoughts, the podcast where me and a guest voice our thoughts on a particular topic of the day. Today's topic is horror games, and this was brought to us by our guest, HonekoAo! Say hi, HonekoAo!
Hi, I'm HonekoAo. I'm the guest. Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. I mean, look, before we started this, I already talked about how much of a mess this is going to be, but it's going to be a fun mess. We all love fun messes.
Making mess, yeah.
We're going to start off with a little segment that I like to call the obligatory info dump. I have a couple of questions that I've curated myself since nobody wanted to leave any, pointing at you
Rude.
online. God, I know.
Rude, shaking my head.
For mainly myself and, of course, any listeners to just learn a bit about you. But to start off, HonekoAo, who the heck are you? Who even are you?
Who am I? It's a good question. Well, I'm HonekoAo. I'm a British UK artist. I'm a VTuber, and most of my time you can find me either online streaming or at conventions. I tend to frequent quite a lot of them in the UK. Sometimes Germany too, if you go to dock with me. I'm there occasionally, but most of my time is drawing, yes.
I take it you're an artist first and foremost, yeah?
I am, yes.
What originally got you into the whole art obsession anyway? Because I can't draw a stick figure without it actually going horribly wrong. So, what got you into that?
Well, I've always drawn since I was a little kid, many such cases. Most people seem to start that way. But honestly, I love drawing fan art. Like, I just really liked drawing for things that kind of captured my interest a lot as a kid. So, I remember being in school and they asked us to draw some mini beasts, which was bugs in I was probably 5 or 6. And I drew the mega goatee cyber demon thing from Doom, and that was he had a machine gun front arm, and I was like, yeah, any excuse, I'll draw whatever I can, whatever looks interesting.
Now, did the 6-packs come after that?
Yeah, they did. Yes, yeah, I had to grow into them.
So you weren't a 5-year-old just drawing the sickest abs on the planet then, though?
When I was trying to draw Goku, maybe, yeah. I mean, possibly then, but only then.
Now, in regards to the art thing, that then obviously progressed into what is now your blossoming VTubing career as well.
It is, yeah.
If I'm correct, and you can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but you created your models yourself?
I did, yes. I did the art and the rigging for them. Every single one of them I've had has been the art and the rig by me, yeah.
Ah, that's awesome. Now, I have to ask this, because I know it's popular, and I'm never going to be one, so I find it interesting to understand anyway. But why did you choose being a VTuber over just like a regular streamer, or maybe like a cameraless one? Like, what drew you towards being an actual VTuber other than a different type of streamer?
I'd been interested in VTubes for a long time. I was actually a face cam streamer before I became a VTuber. I had about 2 or 3 years, something like that, as a face cam streamer. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like putting makeup on. I don't like putting clothes on. I want to do my streaming.
All hang loose. Look, I get it.
I want to be nice and comfortable, is what I'm saying. I want it to be comfortable. But I'd known about VTubing as not necessarily like a streaming path, but as a thing that you can do with art for a long time. And I really like just finding interesting different things to kind of use my art on. So I like being multidisciplinary. I think that's probably a good word for it. I like to try lots of different things with art. And that really captured my attention. And when I saw HoloLive debut at their English branch, I was like, well, I can do that.
You could be
I can work that out. I could do that. Yeah. It seems really fun and comfy. Yeah.
Now, do you want to ever be that, corporatized? Because I see that stuff and I'm like, well, it's run by, a bigger company that I guess kind of not necessarily owns them, but they're kind of, branched out into their own thing. Is that where you kind of want to be? Or would you still prefer to be, independent? Would you prefer to be that corporatized?
Now I'd still like to be independent, but back then I did. I liked the idea of being in an agency because there's so many positives that come with it. And honestly, it was probably a little lack of self-confidence as well, because I didn't know that I could do it on my own. I didn't know that was necessarily an option then, because nearly every VTuber you saw back then in 2020, nearly every one of them was in an agency. So you just kind of assume that's the general path forward. Now, however, I've got to where I'm at kind of off my own back, off my own work, I'd rather stay this way, I think, unless it was a really talent like freedom. If if the agency had a lot of freedom, then maybe I'd consider it, but quite happy as I am.
Where they kind of set stuff up, but you still had the freedom to do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of agencies, like socks agencies. I don't know if you've heard of them, SVA.
No clue. Not a clue.
They're very like the owner's very like, yeah, just do whatever you want, guys. We'll just kind of give you some corporate backing here and there for like events and what have you, and some support in that way. But all of the talents seem to just be, they were independents before, so they know what they're doing, and they continue to run as though they're still independents, basically. So that would kind of work for me, I think. But otherwise, I'm quite happy just making my own connections these days, to be honest. It's working out okay. And I don't have to pay anybody else. They don't take part of my
it all comes down to the money. I knew it.
Well, I know. I do like living with money, so it does help.
Oh God, looks at empty wallet. Oh no.
Oh.
Now, I'm going to be upfront, and I think I told you this during one of your streams as well. So I hate streaming. Now, I don't hate streamers, and I don't hate being a part of streams. If anything, I love being a part of streams, because I just like vibing with whoever's running the show, and I don't have to do anything except be myself. I love that. However, I've done a couple of like one-off streams in the past, and even without the whole rigging and VTuber models and all that stuff, I just found it so annoying. And I don't know if that's just because my like I saw chat with a slight delay, and I'm like, well, I want to respond to him now in real time. Why do I have a delay? I hated it. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep the freedom of my edited videos. That's where I'll be. I'll be an editor. You all be the streamers, because
honestly, I don't blame you. There's a charm to it. There's something I really like about streaming, but I know it's not for everybody. There's so much you've got to manage. Like, if you have technical difficulties, you can't pause the stream. You have to figure them out as you're live. You've got chatters you need to interact with or not interact with, or be angry that you're not interacting with them for whatever reason. You've got to yap for 5 hours straight, or however long you're going to be streaming for, about your individual topic. Not necessarily with chat to bounce back off of as well, which can make things just a bit more difficult.
Just feeling dead air, I assume.
Yeah, it really is. In the early days of streaming, I really did try and think of it like how a radio show would run, because when you're listening to radio, there's never dead air, but there's talking. They have breaks though for listening to music and music alone, whereas we don't really have that.
You have no break.
So you really have to like either come to stream with like 10 topics you want to talk about already, and you've got to do that like 3 times a week, however long your stream is and what the schedule is. But I don't blame you. I do see that there's quite a lot of comfort to being able to record things and edit and change things around that way as well. So I think it's just personal preference, isn't it?
Pretty much,
definitely personal 100%. Preference.
Because some people look at the editing screen and go, I would just
yeah,
they look at that and go, you know what, I'd rather just hit the record button and yap for however long.
Yeah, I'm in that camp. I really love streaming. I love being able to talk for 5 hours, and I'm like, okay, job done. Maybe I'll look at some editing another day, and then I don't.
Whether it's the VTuber model side or just streaming in general, do you have any tips for beginner streamers? Like, is delay, latency with chat something to be concerned about? Do you need to obviously have the highest quality pictures? You know, like what tips would you have for streaming in general?
There's with the latency, there are ways a little bit around it. You've got to fiddle with a lot of your streaming settings, unfortunately, and you can tell chat to make sure that they have their stream set to like lower quality, because that that reduces the latency. In in OBS itself as well, there's low latency modes that you can turn on, which should be a help to that as well. But my number one tip, I think I'd give 2 tips. If you really want to get good at streaming, set a schedule and stick to it. But it doesn't have to be like 12 hours 5 times a week. It can just be 2 hours on a Monday. If you can stick to that, that's a really good thing to be able to do. I think consistency is the key. Starting at the same kind of times on the same days, fantastic. I think the other piece of advice, I kind of already gave it, is to come prepared. If you struggle to think of things off the top of your head,
Okay.
totally okay to come with a list of things. Like, it can be what socks you're wearing. What did you do that day? Did anything funny happen on your dog walk that you did? Are your neighbors little rat bags and they're, smacking the bins outside? Did you watch a really good anime? Have you done something out of the ordinary? Anything, whatever it is, that's content. You can talk about whatever you like. It's your stream. So don't be afraid to yap about anything that comes to mind. And if it doesn't come to mind, write a little list down. It's a big help.
Thank you for that obligatory info dump. Now on to You're Doing What? Yeah, that's right. The second segment of the show is You're Doing What? In which we'll dive into a little bit of what you've got going on. Any projects you're allowed to speak on, maybe some you're not. So, what have you got going on and coming up?
Oh, well, I'm going to be at a couple of conventions coming up very, very soon. Next month, I have KitterCon and I have MCM Birmingham if you're in the UK area and specifically Midlands related. You might be able to catch me at those conventions where I'll be selling lots of my artwork. I'm cooking up some very, very new, tasty pieces of merch for that. Not as much as I'd like, though. I'm currently doing jury duty and it's eating my time. So I'm trying to work around it. But what else have I got going on? No big projects at the minute. I've just wrapped up my new VTuber model debut. I created my whole model from scratch. It's all brand new. I've got a couple of new toggles I'm going to be showing off very soon. I've created some new stuff and things with the model. Just between you and me, I've made doggo ears and a doggo tail. That's the next one they're getting. Had to do it.
The inside
Go
scoop.
for a skeleton ghost girl to a doggo girl instead. But other than that, I don't think I've really got any massive big projects coming up, I'm afraid. I'm a bit boring right now. I've just wrapped everything.
Oh god, I've caught you at your most boring time. All the good stuff's done.
I've done it, yeah.
I should have done this a month ago. God damn it.
No, that's it.
I have some thoughts on all of that. However, it's gotta wait, because it's time to voice our thoughts on horror games. That's right.
Oh,
it's finally here, the titular segment of the show. Oh,
yes.
Tell me, HonekoAo, what's your thoughts, feelings, ideas on horror games?
Ooh, I love horror games. I love them so much, and I think not enough people give them enough time of day. I think they're such a good piece of artwork in their own rights. People should spend more time playing them, even if they're scaredy cats.
Now I'm going to out myself here, right? So I am a massive horror game poser. Now,
are you?
I'm a... Oh yeah, I know that game because I've watched a video on it. I haven't played it. Of course I watched a video on it.
I watched my streamer play it. Yeah, I saw them do it. I've done it now, basically.
Come on. The new Doom DLC? Yeah, of course I've played that. I've just watched HonekoAo play it. I haven't actually played it myself. God, no, God forbid.
Well, it might not be so bad. It's really fun. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Of course
I forgot to ask.
No, it's fine.
It's very hard. It's very difficult, or at least it is for me, because I'm playing it on Nightmare, so I've made it more difficult for myself. So you might be in the right frame of mind for that. I don't think that's the worst though, but I would love you to play some more though. I'd love it.
I've kind of got out of my comfort zone a little bit more. So, like, Silent Hill, never played any of those. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But I did play Silent Hill F when that was released last year. And I did love it. I thought it was actually really good. The only problem is that I guess with those more action-oriented ones, similar to RE9, which is also the only Resident Evil I've ever played. God, don't flame me. Oof.
I'll let you off. It's a good one.
But like those more action-oriented ones, I feel like they're scary at first, especially with the way they're like mannequin-esque, like demons, whatever they are, spookums, whatever in Silent Hill F. Like the way they moved, I was like, oh my god, that's freaking me out. And you run away and they're chasing you. I'm like, yeah. But then when you become a badass with a knife, I'm like, well, I'm not scared anymore.
I get where you're coming from with that.
I could just beat them all up. And I think Resident Evil 9, which I loved, by the way, that's actually inspired me to go and play the rest.
Please do.
I love the way that split it up. Like, you get this new character, Grace. Oh, and she's the horror side of it. And then you get everybody's thirsty boy Leon.
Oh, yes.
I know you'd say, oh, yeah. And he's got all the action that you expect. And obviously it's combining the elements of, I want to say, 4 through 6 of the action with Leon. And then it's got more of your 7 through 8 with Grace. And they've
I think that's pretty fair.
They've done like a nice mix. Like I love that because there were parts in Grace's campaign where I'm like, well, I'm not going to play anymore because I've got no more pants. I don't want to keep playing when I've got no more pants to play the game.
You've got to take a little break. A little trouser change break.
Got to take a forever break. Sorry, Grace, you're stuck there forever. My bad.
Oh, no. They are really, really good games, though. But yeah, I see where you're coming from. There's a point with some horror games where you start getting like all of the equipment, you start getting all the know-how of how to like best each of the enemies. You become a bit braver. The beginning of the games is always the scariest, I think, especially with Silent Hill F. There was a part where like I just started feeling like I could dodge everything with the dodge button like it was Dark Souls, and then I was like, well, I'm not scared anymore. I just know to move out the way and then whack them, you know, when I've done that. But there is a point where it does change, I think. That might be a good way to get into them if you are a bit of a scaredy cat, though, is play the more horror games that are more action oriented, and then you kind of get a feel for like the rhythm of the games. Like, what's it called? Hang on. Sorry, my brain's just stopped working.
Uh-oh. Don't say like Dead by Daylight or Dead Space.
The space horror game. Dead Space. Yes, Dead Space. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. I was like, is it Dead Space? I don't know. Yes, yeah, that one's really like action oriented, but it is still really scary the whole way through, even though you've built up your kind of armories and you've got your weapon upgrades and everything. It's still scary. They still spook you. It's a really good game though.
So Dead Space is actually one of the ones that I was going to bring up. And this was more about a sort of remake versus classic thing that I wanted to bring up. Because I think Dead Space is one of those where you can still play the classic, even though the remake is out. And they're both still really good. Now, I personally would only now play the remake, only because they redid the lore to make it a little more coherent. They've obviously got the voice acting of Isaac, which only came in the second Dead Space, but in the remake, they fully voiced it to keep it coherent. If you went back to the classic, the full silence of it, of you like having a voiceless protagonist, which I do think horror games benefit more from, is when your character isn't
any genre,
yapping up a storm throughout, like, oh my god, a demon, I hope it doesn't touch me. Oh god, it's touching me. Why? It's like, okay, well, I was feeling horror, and then the guy opened his mouth. Oh, girl.
Yeah. And it just doesn't fit like how you'd, or what that character's saying necessarily fits the way you would react or how you feel about the situation. That can definitely be a little off-putting, I think, but yeah, I mean, I really liked the remake for Dead Space. I thought it was really good. The fact that they did go back and they kind of made the lore a bit more cohesive to the whole narrative of all the games in retrospect is really helpful, I think. And they took out some of the gameplay stuff that just didn't need to be there anymore. Like, I was listening to a lore video the other day that reminded me that they took out the tram bits. So at the end of every level in the original, you'd have to go back to the tram.
You would, yes.
Yeah, that was literally just a loading, loading screen hide. But you don't need that anymore. So it's nice that they've taken that out and they've kind of made it a bit more seamless. So you do feel like you're going to do exactly what you need to as Isaac in that moment. But I don't know about the voice though. I can't decide if I liked him having a voice in the very first one more or less than the original. There's, like you said, I really like that I can kind of come to my own thoughts independently of Isaac as while you're playing a voiceless character in that particular scenario. But the way that he does speak and react in the remake, I think is very fitting. It just kind of makes sense. He's meant to be a headstrong character and knows exactly what he's doing, and he plays that very well. He does stick to that, I think, and the other characters react well. But I don't know. I also like silent protagonists, generally speaking, anyway. But it's preference again, isn't it?
Now, on that same line of thought, though, right? So the remake versus classic for Dead Space, I still think they both work. You can pick your poison, doesn't really matter. No one will judge you for either one you pick. Even though I haven't played them, I assume it is not the same for Resident Evil, though. I get the feeling you can't play the original Resident Evil 2 now because the remake is out, and the remake is, from what I understand, vastly better than what the original RE2 is. So that, I think, though, like, that's kind of killed that. Like, unless you wanted to go back to what I assume is a worse version, you would only ever play the remake. I don't know that
I'd say it's worse. So I recently did do that. I played Resident Evil 2 for the first time since I was like a kid. I couldn't remember it at all. I didn't know any of the, you know, the twists and turns of the game. So I played it first with the original version, and then I went to do the remake on stream afterwards. And they were different games, but not in a negative way at all. They've moved some of like the enemy placements, and they've changed some of the narrative order a little bit. So you do feel like you are getting different kind of feelings from both games. The original game was very, like, you had to not make mistakes, and you had to be very tactful about what way you're approaching the game. Like, do I go through that left corridor, which has a million zombies in, or do I go through the right corridor that has 2 lickers in, and I've only got X amount of ammo, but I know there's going to be some more ammo at the end of either one, which is the smartest decision to make there. But with the remake, I felt like it was very, no, you just have to react to things. You have to make sure you're playing tactfully at that moment, not making tactful decisions as a whole of the game, if that makes sense. So I didn't feel like I was pressured to go one way or the other like I was with the original.
Would you say that the remake is massively easier than classic?
I don't know that I could say that. I played it on hard for my first time, and I did really struggle with it. I don't think there's difficulty with the original game that I can remember off the top of my head. I think I just played that vanilla. But I didn't feel that way with it. I felt like Mr. X was scary. They made him scary. There's not many horror games that really like make me want to be like, no, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there. No, I don't want to go in there. But that one did. I did not like that you could hear him pacing,
just stomping around like the big hungry boy he is. I want my Leon biscuit. Nom nom nom.
It wasn't like that in the original one. You'd see Mr. X like a couple of times, and he'd be like, and then he'd just vanish at the end of the corridor. He wouldn't pursue you. So they really did like make him into more of a threat. You'd kind of see him in the original in the corridor. You'd get to the corridor, and he'd just vamoosh. He's done now.
So he doesn't chase you around in the original, like he does.
He's a little bit, but not like he does now. Not at all like he does now. He's so much more persistent, and he's very aggressive in the new one. In fact, I think with Mr. X, you don't even get to meet Mr. X. If you play as Leon, I don't think you get to meet him until your second playthrough. It kind of changes the story. So you do one playthrough, and then you get more of a different story because you enter the building a different way in the second time. And that's when you see Mr. X more. So I don't think you could have played maybe the first game without even seeing him at all. So they've shaken things up enough, I think, to make them distinctly different versions, which is quite nice, I think.
As long as they start keeping that train, like they even did it with RE9, where you could kill them, but you had like the little mini bosses in each one of Grace's areas, like the chef.
Like that chunky guy, the big chungus guy.
Yes,
you had to blow him up.
The best representation of me I've ever seen. Finally, fat people get credit in games. Yes.
He was a cool character, though. Like, he was very scary. They did a good job with him.
I love the fact that you had to stab the hungry boy 3 times for him to explode. That's what it is. It's just like, I'm hungry.
I know, he needed his medicine. Lots of it.
What do you think of the more narrative-based ones? Now, what I mean by that is, so, like I said, I've watched most of the horror games that I've ever seen online. However, I think some of them, for example, Until Dawn or the Dark Anthology Collection, are more suited to be watched online rather than played, if I'm honest. Even though they've got horror, even though they've got, choose left or right, get stabbed by a twig, or you
Yeah.
accidentally called someone an idiot, so they shot you with a shotgun because they remembered this. Um, you know, like, yeah, you can play games, but they're basically just movies. But what do you think about that, though? The fact that these movies are essentially just becoming like storybook games where you just slightly above a visual novel, but slightly less than a game.
I do like those sort of games. I haven't played the ones you've mentioned. I've only caught parts of them through friend streams, so I don't know. I don't know those two specific examples very well. But I do think there's a place for that as well. When they're too visual novelly, it kind of, I don't know if it's almost disrespectful for somebody to stream them, because like it will prevent other people from wanting to go pick those games up, I think.
Yes.
But that's, you know, that's not the worst thing in the world. But there are definitely some games where it seems like they make better stream content than playing content. And I think for me, like Fear and Hunger's like that for me, where I could watch a million playthroughs and I'd rather watch somebody else than play it myself. Although I do really like those games, but
I would much rather watch someone else play it. I ain't got time to map out all the left, rights, up, downs for that type of game. No chance.
And having the patience for like flipping the coin correctly enough to save your bloody game, a nightmare. Actually a nightmare. So it's kind of more fun to see somebody else suffer through that than you suffer through it yourself. It's not super narrative though.
Like, everyone loves Fear and Hunger and Fear and Hunger 2, but I love the lore videos, and I love, you know, the characters that they've got. The games are too gimmicky for me.
I can get that.
I get maybe making difficult save options, maybe making big, long stretches of time before you get there, so if you do encounter a bad fight, you know, you've lost a lot of progress, but you can keep going. But the fact that your save is genuinely tied to a coin toss, to me, is just unnecessary. I mean, I get it.
Evil.
It's cruel, and it's supposed to be a cruel game. I get it. I get that's the theme, but why? You do so much.
The gambler in me loves it, but I also absolutely hate it. There was a moment on stream where I was trying to save the game, and I'd flipped the coin wrong 10 times in a row, and I was like this close to rage quitting entirely. I was like, I don't want to play this game.
Oh my god, 10 times in a row.
Like, it's 10 times in a row. I've gone through this really difficult area. I was like, I just need to save my game so I could go to bed. I've been playing this game for like 4 hours. Please let me rest. Please, God. Game, please.
I'd be like, I'm not playing you anymore,
not
game.
Having it.
Yeah, this abusive relationship ain't happening any longer, game. I'm not doing it.
I know.
It's
it
not
really
happening.
does feel like that with that particular game. It really does. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed those streams with chat. They were very entertaining for both of us, I think.
One of the games that I've been getting into, like, more, and it was released years ago. I'm not sure if you've heard of World of Horror.
I haven't. Oh, wait. Oh, I know that one. Oh, my friend was playing that recently. It looks really cool.
Basically, what it is, World of Horror, is it's a Junji inspired kind of like roguelite RPG.
Yeah. It's sort of like pixel style, isn't it?
Yeah. And you basically play one of whichever character you pick at the beginning. You can kind of give them disadvantages or advantages before you play the game. It's one of those where it's like you can choose to make your experience shittier if you want, which is, love that.
Love that.
I've been playing that a lot more recently because I think they've had a major update in like years, or it's still upcoming or something like that.
Oh.
But I've always been a big fan of like Lovecraftian horror type stuff, so World of Horror really scratches that itch, especially when it's like, you do investigations by picking like which story you want to do. One of them's like ramen that's suddenly popped up, like a ramen shop that's suddenly popped up. You investigate it. You can find many different endings per mini story.
So it's very open-ended then.
So
it's like you pick your route.
You have one goal at the end, which is you've got to stop the cult from summoning whatever Cthulhu-esque being that they want to destroy the world or whatever. But to get to the end, you have like 4 or 5 stories that get picked for you that you select, but each one of those 4 or 5 stories has branching endings. So you could pick one story that has like 2 endings, one story that has 5, and depending on your choices that you make in those individual stories, you either get a good outcome or a bad outcome or something where it's just like a little bit weird, but neither on the spectrum. Like the ramen one is one of the like smaller stories. I think it's only got like 2 endings, but the idea is that it's a magical ramen shop that just suddenly appears. Everybody suddenly loves it. There's long lines that queue in. You like investigate it. You beat up creatures, you beat up monsters. You damage, you collect items. And the 2 endings of that is either you find out that it's made of people or you don't.
That sounds like such an incredible game to me. It's one that I think I've bought it now, so I've just got to get around to it. But I love those type of games where if you play it and your friend plays it, you've both had a completely different experience of the game through the narrative choices that you've made. I think that's such an interesting style of game. It really works well for horror games as well, because there's so much mystery then. It kind of incentivizes you to give it another go after, right? So it sounds like a lot of fun.
Because it's pixel style, like the art's really, really good. But I think because of the style, maybe the creatures or the monsters or whatever maybe don't hit as good as they should do, or something like that. But because of the atmosphere it creates, the music, the sound effects that it uses, the fact that it's very narratively driven, so you will get like a full description of just this gross shit. I think there's a part in the game where you like have to pull something out of someone's eye, and it gives you like an up close view of their eye. Like it's.
Ooh.
I've been jumping back into it, and I've been loving every moment of it. But that kind of also scratches that roguelite itch as well. Like it's a roguelite horror game, and that's what I really love about that.
I'm learning to like those style of games. They've never really appealed to me until kind of the last couple of years, but I do really like that randomness element to it. But I see what you mean about the like the style of it maybe degrading the horror aspects visually a little bit. But I think if you've got an active imagination, I think that probably doesn't matter too much. And if you leave that game, I think a good horror game is when you walk away from it and you're still kind of thinking about it. At the end of the day, you're going to bed and you're thinking about it. I think that probably works well. If it's that kind of game for you, then that sounds like a solid horror to me.
Yeah. No, 100%. If it's got you thinking and if it's got you feeling, it's a good game. That's what I've always gone by. If you leave it and you go, oh, well, whatever. I wasted 2 hours of my life. Oh, thanks. Oh, I love that.
Oh my god, like, I've definitely played horror games like that, looking at you, Deadly Premonition.
Look, hey, you leave Deadly Premonition alone, right? I can listen to that man talk about movies forever. All right.
It was absolute cinema. I'm not going to say it wasn't absolute cinema, but it didn't work well as a horror game for me personally. But it was really interesting. And it was very, very funny.
Oh, look, it was a shit horror game. Oh, I'm not even going to lie about that. Oh, it was awful.
Gameplay.
But you know what? The 2, if you slapped a 2 at the end of Deadly Premonition, that's a horror game just because it exists.
I'd play it. Yeah, I'd play it again. I'd play it.
Oh no, I can't believe they ruined Deadly Premonition with the second game.
So
I hate it.
Funny. Oh.
Well, you know what? Speaking of things that I think ruin horror, all the multiplayer slop. I don't like it.
Oh,
I don't like the multiplayer slop. All right.
It does kind of take a bit away from it, doesn't it?
Like people tell me, oh, Phasmophobia is really good. Well, yeah, but because I'm out there playing fucking Ghost Adventures in Phasmophobia, where I'm running into the center of a house, being like, "Come get me, Ghost! I'll punch you, Ghost!
Yeah.
Come get me, fight me, Ghost!" I'm like, yeah, there's no horror there. Oh, I hear a little whisper. Yeah, I've just told this fucking ghost to fight me. Of course I'm going to die. There ain't no fear here.
I don't see how it can be scary when you're with your mates,
exactly,
and you're just having top bants. Like, it's just not as scary. I mean, all they've got going for them then as a horror mechanic really is jump scares, and that's not the scariest, is it?
Exactly, and it's like content warning. That's just what YouTube is. Just go and record something fucked up and get a bunch of views for it. Oh, done. Oh, thank God.
Close enough, that'll do.
Dead by Daylight. Yeah, it's horror themed, but it's just a versus thing.
Themed,
of one guy being like, "I'm going to get you," and 4 people going, "No, because you're slow and you're bad and you don't know what the controls are." That's my experience. I played Dead by Daylight 4 times. I loved it. Never wanted to play it again.
You just run around your sofa with your mates and the killer. That's all Dead by Daylight seems to me personally. But I don't know. Well, I've been playing Outlast Trials, and that one I would say is probably the scariest type of horror multiplayer game I've played. But I don't think I would call it. It's not the scariest. It's gruesome.
Right.
And that's it. I think that's all it has. Like you've got to saw people's legs off it, but the horror I think comes from you have to do it. So you are like visually doing it, and it's slow and it's drawn out, and you're doing this to other people, which should be in your position, like game lore wise. But I think it's not scary though. It does feel like there's, you're being chased around the house with, somebody in a ghost mask.
Yeah. Just be like, I'm gonna get you, and it's like, tee, no, you won't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially when you're playing it with mates on voice chat as well. It's probably a bit scary if you don't have the voice chat elements, maybe. But I don't know. It's just, I don't see them as horror games though. The horror adjacent, horror themed, but not true horror. They're not scaring you. They're just,
It's interesting that you bring up Outlast, though. And we kind of touched on it with Deadly Premonition, which is not something I had on my list to talk about, but there you go. Is the fact of, does sequels, and I guess it doesn't necessarily, go for stuff like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, because they're all, like, different contained stories. Some are connected, but they're different adventures or whatever. But do direct sequels to horror games ruin them? So, for example, everyone loves the first Outlast. Everybody's always raving about it. They love it. Genuinely scary. You run away. You hide in lockers. We all get it.
Yeah.
Right? Outlast 2 came out. Very mixed reviews. I think a lot of people disliked it. They went very narrative focused and weird. And I don't think they went through...
I haven't played that one yet. I don't know about Outlast 2.
So Outlast 2 it kind of, I think, wanted to make a bigger world or story from its first game. They picked a topic that they could have ended with in the first game, maybe made Outlast 2 its own self-contained, separate asylum-themed, like, horror adventure game, whatever.
Yeah, or done something similar, yeah.
But because they've decided to tie them together, it made it worse. And now, obviously, they're doing this multiplayer thing. What do you think about that, with the fact that the first game is beloved and classic, but now they've gone to a sequel that's worse into what I would consider multiplayer slop?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? I think the best sequels in horror games are, generally speaking, the ones where they do change the characters, or at least they remove the characters out of the story from the first game enough where they're kind of just in the peripheral vision. So you're playing as somebody, like, say, Silent Hill 1 to 2, for example, and then you kind of go back to the same characters in 3 a little bit.
Yep.
You have, like, like Harry Mason ends up being the main character's father in 3, but he's not really in 2. They're the best ones, but I do agree, the ones where they kind of try and do a direct continuation, there is a degradation of what they're trying to achieve and the feeling that you get from the first one. You're never going to get the same feeling again from playing that kind of game for the second time, like Dead Space, for example.
Yeah.
I think 2 was a good game, but it was way more action oriented, and it wasn't as horror filled.
The
as
horror
the
was
first
long
game
gone
is.
in Dead Space 2. It wasn't that.
Yeah. And by the time you get to 3, don't even talk about it. That's a completely different game, and they changed every part of it just to make it into, like a competitive Call of Duty,
a Call of
shooter
Duty
type game
with friends,
where you play it with couch co-op. That's all they wanted out of that one.
They did try an interesting gimmick in that, which didn't pull off very well, though. Like, I like the idea that in the third one, depending on who you're playing as, you got the weird, like, you get something on your screen and you get something on your screen, and you're both seeing different things. It's an interesting gimmick.
I do kind of like that a little bit. Yeah, like, I feel like they tried that with Resident Evil, I think maybe 5 and 6 as well, when they turn those into couch co-ops as well, where, like, 2 characters doing slightly different things during parts of it. And that was quite interesting. That's quite fun. But it doesn't need a horror unless you're really splitting the characters up like they did in Resident Evil 9. I know that's not a 2-player game, but when they separate the 2 main characters and they've got completely different feelings, they keep them separate. I think that was I think that worked quite well for that one. Can't think of many other examples where they do continue the direct horror game.
A lot of them have decided to make self-contained stories, which I think is always the best route to go down.
Yeah. I think it's the same with like it's movies, isn't it? It's the exact same thing. Like the movies where they've changed the characters a bit seem to be more popular than the ones where they kind of try and beat a dead horse, so to speak. Like Saw works well because that's always a different stuff every time. Different and weird every single time you watch one of those movies. Don't get the same thing twice exactly.
Wait, was that Saw? Did you say Saw?
Saw, yeah. Yeah, I like Saw. I know not everybody does, but I like the fact that they do change the characters and they kind of like, they change the traps, they change everything. They do make it into, you know, like, I don't know where they'd go after the first one if they kept everything the same. Obviously, Jigsaw's still there, but...
Have you ruined Saw by playing the games?
Oh, I did, yeah. Oh my god, right, that's so old, those games. Oh my god, I'd forgotten about them.
The awful Saw games that never should have been.
They should not have been. They were terrible. I remember just setting every trap off and being like, why is this my life? I can't do anything. It's no fun whatsoever.
Oh god, like, oh, god. See, I think
they were terrible.
I think though, like with something like that, like that's a miserable experience. Like playing Saw is a miserable experience. It's not good.
It was.
Like those are similar to like B movies. You want to play them with a group. You want to be able to laugh at how shit something is with multiple people. You don't want to just sit there and slog through it on your own. That's a nightmare.
Like, I can't even imagine playing that game on stream. Like, nobody would be having fun. The audience, like, I feel like you can't even laugh at it mostly. It was just so tedious.
So speaking of horror games in a general sense, I've skewed away from a lot of the, I guess, normal-ish type ones, I guess. I don't know, like, I never bothered with Resident Evil, because even though they were different stories, I was just like, it's guy shoot zombie. I didn't really care about that. You know, it's... the anthologies and Until Dawns, you can watch those because they're basically interactive movies. You don't need to play them to experience it. That's fine. One of the things that I do love in the last few years, there's been a boom of it over the last few years, but there are a couple of examples that are much, much older. But it's horror games with good gimmicks. Now, one of the things that kicked off my love with good gimmicks in horror games is a game called Eternal Darkness, which is a much, much older game.
I never played that. I know of it, but I never played it,
Which I think is like, I want to say like 90s or early 2000s or something, but the whole gimmick is that you had like a sanity meter. If it drained, it would do shit in-game or on your TV or fake wiping your save or crash it or something like that. Now, Eternal Darkness and stuff like that wouldn't work now because obviously everything PC-wise and stuff like that, it wouldn't translate well, but that's where the evolutions come in to stuff like Kanito Pet, Pony Island, Doki Doki Literature Club, you know, all these games that make you work while playing the game in a way. Because it's like Doki Doki introduced the fact that, a bunch of weird shit's happening on screen, but if you chose to dig deeper into the system's game files, you could affect the game in a way. You could delete things, you could, find story bits, like I love games more with unique gimmicks, but even not necessarily messing with your computer. Like, I love Fatal Frame.
I was going to say Fatal Frame comes to mind for that with the cameras.
That's a gimmick that you either love or hate. You either hate the camera mechanic or you love it. And I wasn't good at it, but I loved the fact that you had the one way to defeat the enemy and you got scored on it, which is take a nice picture. If you didn't take a nice picture, then you were fucked and you would die.
Yeah, you've wasted all your film and you're dead. So good luck, buckaroo. I really did like that game for that particular mechanic. It was really interesting. There was nothing like it at the time. Definitely, I remember taking those games to my friend's house and showing them all it, and they were like, "Oh, this is so different." They loved it. So good.
Like, do you have any gimmick horror games that come to mind?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Kind of rattled off most of them.
I think it was. Yeah, Project Zero was the one that really, really came to mind. I'm never gonna think about it. Like, what are all the horror games I've played in my life? I don't know why. Like, my brain's going to off, but there's not really many gimmicks in that apart from like Oh, ooh, I kind of like that though, but Undertale, where you have to murder everybody to get the full story. I did like that side of it, going down the genocide route. I know that's not supposed to be a horror game, but a lot of people won't even touch that side of it because they don't like the idea of killing everybody.
I suppose that's the idea of the morality of it, though. Like, yeah, it might not be classed as a horror game, but if you've ran through the game once and you've fallen in love with all these characters,
you've grown attached to everything, yeah.
And now it's, well, I guess I best get my knife out. Let's
kind of horrible. Yeah.
Here I go killing again. It's like, uh-oh. It's a bit, well, you know, cue the gasp. Never played Undertale or Deltarune either, but there you go.
Have you not? I haven't done Deltarune, but I do recommend Undertale. It is a fun little game. It was enjoyable.
I actually couldn't get behind the gimmick. I really couldn't. The whole way that,
the fighting system,
like the whole combat system, the talk your way out of it. I can't get behind it. I tried to stream it with a couple of friends.
Murder everybody.
Oh, that's very true. Well, that's the thing. I was playing with people, and they're like, "No, you can't murder it." And even though on the inside, I was like, "I really want to. I really want to be a killer." Yeah. And I was the nice person in me wants to make these other people that I'm with happy, so I can't do it.
Not the same, is it? Not the same.
We won't spend too much on this one, but mascot horror, is it alive? Is it dead? Do we care about it?
Meh. Meh. We mean like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of.
Well, Poppy
Playtime.
Ban, Freddy, you know.
Personally, it doesn't do anything for me. It just doesn't do anything. I played the first Five Nights at Freddy's and it got me with the jump scares. And after about I don't know, like the fourth time it happened, I was so over it. I was like, okay, all right, that's the whole game. It's just not for me, but obviously there's a whole market out there for people and they really do seem to enjoy it. But it does kind of feel like baby's first horror game, I'm not gonna lie.
Look, I think Poppy Playtime was pretty good up until like chapter 3 or 4. And then the fact that the 5th chapter doesn't end and they're going into 6, I'm like, no, come on. No, you can't do that. 5 is the end. Great. You can't go past 5.
No, they smell money.
No, they do. They smell money in the water and I hate it. No.
Yeah. I just personally don't think they're particularly scary games, and they shouldn't be really counted as horror, really, because they're not affected. Like, as I said, you're not walking away from them and you're not thinking about it when you're done with that game. You're just like, thank God the jump scares are done now. Thank you. I'm done with this game. But at least that's the case for me. I don't know whether other people feel differently to that, however, because obviously people really like the lore of, like Five Nights at Freddy's. That spawned a whole thing on its own.
That's it, though. I don't think they like the games. I think they like the fake story they've made for the games.
I think so. I think you might be right there. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was a part of one of them. Like, look, for a good few years, I was like, I love this story. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, it doesn't make any sense, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a funness to debating these things, and like hearing what other people have to say about them. And there's quite a communal aspect to it. The storytelling side of it.
700 Freddys. Not all of them need lore. Yeah. Not all of them. I don't care about Candy Swirl Freddy. He can go fuck himself. Go away. Right? Shit smeared Bonnie. Yeah, I get it. He was stuck in the toilet for 7 years and he's upset or whatever. Right? It's like,
that's kind of how I feel about SCPs. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is, what do you mean the filing cabinets are spooky? No. What are you talking about?
Let's not get onto my personal love of SCPs, all right? Don't offend me, okay? We're offending all the FNAFers. You don't offend me.
I rescind my snark.
Let's wrap this segment up and name your favourite horror game. What's your favourite all-time horror game?
Ooh, that's such a tough question. There's so many I like.
And you have to pick one. You can't dance on it.
One single one?
Yep, whichever you name here on this podcast will be forever cemented as your favourite horror game. You gotta pick one.
Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill
2? I think that's the one that had the biggest impression on me and stuck with me for a very, very long time. But it was one of my, kind of early first horror games too. So maybe that's why it left such an impression. I hadn't really experienced other things like that. But it was very scary at the time when that came out. There was nothing else like that either.
Good choice. I've never played it. Can't comment. Obviously, it could be a shit game. I know it's not. Obviously, I'm just saying that to rile everybody that's
Some
listening.
people probably think so.
Obviously, look, right, it is what it is. Mine, right, I get to be biased, right? I get to be flip-floppy with mine. Mine's either Dead Space or the first BioShock.
Oh, do you know what? I wouldn't really call BioShock a horror, but it's got so many horror elements. I'll let you off with it.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I might have played BioShock
It's
when I was
so
either
good.
too young or not used to it. But
Ooh,
when they
I
kept
loved
jumping
it.
out of the shadows or like screaming from down the hall, I was like, no.
It's horrible. There's a lot of horror elements.
The first time I played it, I think I got 30 minutes in and then stopped and turned it off.
The little girls and the way they speak was horrible. And then the big daddies like just smash you into next week and not in the fun way. Oh my God, they were scary then. They were
God.
scary. Yeah, those are both good choices. Dead Space is like I nearly said Dead Space, but I think Silent Hill just slightly wins out for me personally.
And I do want to say Dead Space the remake. I do think the first one's good,
Specifically,
but I think specifically the remake is the better of the two.
They did fix a lot, to be fair. They did good work with that one, definitely.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this episode of Voice Thoughts. A massive thank you to HonekoAo for joining me on today's episode and voicing your thoughts on the horror games.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun. Thank you for letting me yap about them. I love it.
Tell the people that are listening where they can find you. All your socials and all that stuff.
Yes, you can find me at twitch.tv/HonekoAo. It's owl like my head hurts, but with an AO. And you can find me as Honeko on pretty much everything. I don't know, you'll find me. I'm blue, I've got a skeleton attached to me, and I draw lots of pictures. So do feel free to come and find me. I'm live 3 times a week, generally speaking, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So I'll catch you guys then.
And thank God you said the end of your name because I never knew how to pronounce it. So now I can pronounce it finally. Hooray!
Nobody does, don't worry.
Finally, last bit from yourself. Who would you like to nominate for a future episode of the Voice Thoughts podcast?
Ooh, well, I'm going to force my very, very good friend Risu Chu into it because I do think she'd be game, and she's an excellent yapper. She will yap your ear off. She's so good at talking. So I will leave it in the capable paws of Risu.
And if you all enjoyed this episode, feel free to voice your own thoughts by leaving a comment, reviewing, and letting me know on any of my social medias, which should all be listed somewhere. I've been Ramrad, joined by HonekoAo, and we will see you on the next Voice Thoughts episode. Bye!
Bye!